Hi, I'm Alan Reece here with the Elder Care Channel. Today we are talking with Susan Wack, our correspondent, who's going to educate us a little bit about choosing the right rehab facility after a hospital stay. Susan, how are you doing today?
Very good, Alan. Thanks for inviting me.
I appreciate you coming here. I would love for you to tell us and educate us a little bit about choosing the right rehab facility, particularly given your experience as a geriatric care manager.
Right. Well, hospitalizations are the frequent reasons why we get called as geriatric care managers. Families are in crisis. They get a call saying their parent has to be out of the hospital in 1 to 3 days. They're not safe to go back home. And unfortunately, the family doesn't know where to turn. Discharge planners will give families a list of facilities to go and look at, but families feel lost. So they will frequently turn to us to give them advice on how to approach shopping for a rehab facility.
What sorts of questions should they ask?
Well, what I recommend to family members are probably about 3 or 4 different things. One, they want to look at a facility that's close by where they live so they can visit frequently. Secondly, they're going to want to look at the state health department's website and the nursing home compare website. Both of those websites have information on the most recent surveys that have been conducted in that nursing home, and they evaluate based on quality, staffing, if there's been any administrative changes. So those are good sites to look at. And then the last thing that I recommend is checking with the local nursing home ombudsman. They're going to know if there's been recent complaints filed against a particular facility. And between those areas, I think that will get them started. And then they want to just go and visit. They want to look and not necessarily, if you arrive after meal times, a smell check is not always the best time to evaluate. But looking at where the residents are kept, how are the staff interacting, and then you're going to want to ask a lot of questions about activities, therapy, frequency, and there's some good websites that I'll include later on about questions to ask and things to look for when you're looking into a rehab facility.
Okay. What are some other suggestions you might have when they're looking at facilities, things they should keep an eye out for in terms of the facility when looking at rehab? Are there things that are specific you should be looking for in a rehab situation as opposed to maybe a longer stay at a nursing home?
Right. The rehab section those are pretty well monitored by the state as well as the Medicare regulations. So there are standards that they all have to meet. But what you're going to want to look at is the frequency of how often they're going to need to have therapy. Some rehabs do it several times a day, some not as frequently. And again, it depends on the evaluation. Once they've conducted their assessment and evaluation, then they'll come up with a plan of care. So you want to be invited to that first care plan meeting, and that usually happens within 14 days of them being admitted to the rehab center. And they set up goals, objectives for where that individual, what they want them to achieve, and with plans to transition them back home.
Okay. In your work as a geriatric care manager, is this something you do as well for folks you work with, in addition to sending folks? Obviously, there's some folks who want to do it on their own.
Right.
Sometimes folks need some help. Is this the kind of work you do as well?
Absolutely. I would be happy to walk with families and help them, provide them with a list of questions to ask, things to look for, and even go with them, because sometimes people are intimidated to ask those kind of questions, thinking that they're being too pushy, but you can't be pushy enough, especially when you're talking about a loved one.
Okay. What about someone who's maybe looking for a rehab facility for a parent when they're out of state? Are there any other suggestions you might have for them?
When they're out of state, that's going to be really difficult, and my recommendation would be you want to either have a family friend or a geriatric care manager like myself to assist them in making that decision, because from long distance, unless you're going there and looking at it yourself, you really can't make an informed decision just on paper.
Okay. Is there any other thing you'd like to add?
Not that I can think of right now.
Okay. Gosh, Susan, I really appreciate you coming in and talking with us and sharing your knowledge with me and also with all the folks here at the Elder Care Channel who are watching with us. Thanks for coming in. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you, Alan.